This is where people bungle this so much. And again, you fuck this up so much, and you got lucky, and you scale, you scale prematurely. That is the death knell for your startups. And I want to
Exactly.
find out, you've been building the MVP guy, the most valuable product guy. That's what you are. And you've been building MVPs for rocket internet startups, for venture building startups, and also you build product. What makes a good MVP? Because I think, MVP is a loosely used word that just for the sake of shipping something, it's already MVP. In your opinion, what makes a good MVP?
So what makes a really, I think that's a very good question, because like getting to 0 to 1, like having a product is like the one, and you actually have end users, that's the one.
Yep.
Um, Building like an MVP, like for those who don't know, like MVP is like minimum viable product. It's
Mhm.
really like basically the features that are like bare minimum, that really just to get like your product working, to validate whether people are going to use it or not. So
Right.
when we build like MVPs for these like rocket internet back startups, it's really one of the most critical part is like moving really fast, as data driven as possible, and then actually having end users use it and then iterate quickly. That's an MVP. And that's our strategy to MVP. Otherwise,
Right.
you could build like a full blown product and having all of these like patting yourself in the back, telling yourself that,
Yeah.
hey, when I launch this, people are going to use it because it's beautiful. And then you launch it, you've spent a year building it, and then nobody's using it. And then you're going to be very frustrated in life. So that's not the way we do things. We ship something in 3 to 4 months. We iterate very quickly. That's the strategy in building like an MVP. Time is very essential, and make it as data driven as possible.
Again, rocket speed.
Yep.
No pun intended. It's rocket speed because at the end of the day, what you don't want to do is fall in love with the solution and your idea, and you build something, fucking gargantuan, and do waterfall development, build so many features, build so many things that nobody knows how to fucking use. So in your opinion, so you build an MVP. What's the method? Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to iterate. No MVP survives this, becomes the final version of the product. It's basically just the exoskeleton or the blueprint of how you want it. There's going to be multiple pivots all the time that you need to do. But while you're doing that, what is the process that you typically use to make sure that you're building the right feature set?
For sure. So I would just like talk about like a recent like MVP that we built.
Okay.
So basically, there's this like rocket internet back company. They're called Flash Coffee. They're based headquartered in Jakarta, and they actually
Okay.
got like a recent funding of Series A of like 15 million US. And
What?
when we were building their MVP, we went to Jakarta. Their entire team was there: COO, CEO, head of operations, head of shops, and all of that. And that's
Yep.
very critical when you're like building the MVP together with like the team who will design your product, because it aligns the entire team. So that's
Right.
what we did. And we do this thing called design sprint, where we just follow an entire design process to really just prioritize everything. So while we're doing that, we're actually aligning their team, the startups team,
Mm.
of what the priorities of the company would be in terms of their MVP product. So we did that. We did a design sprint in like 3 days. We did mock-ups, like high fidelity mock-ups, and then we had it on phones. And then we went to their actual shops. And then we had actual end user customers actually click through everything, and then we recorded everything to see if they're actually like they understand how it's going to be used.
Wow.
And then around that, we then iterate quickly and then do high fidelity mockups, the
Mm.
actual designs. And then once we have that, we have all of the screens. We then push it on the development front, where we just like code it as quick as
Got it.
possible, and then we launch.
So you don't code until you've seen high fidelity mockups, like what I said, where you expose it right away to the user, measure it, how they interact with the product, and then you just double down on what works. In the case that it doesn't work, what do you guys do?
In the case that it doesn't work, when we do like the mock-up testing, we really
Mm.
just quickly iterate the design. So
Mm.
what gets to development is like the most de-risk product design already.
Got it.
And then we then launch it into the market, and then we start iterating from there. We start building on like more visions that they have for their tech, more features and stuff like that. So eventually they become a very like full-blown product, with so many features. But that's always the route that you should go when you're building tech startups. It's never like, hey, we will be this full blown. You're gonna live a very, very miserable, like sad life if you
Right.
keep
And
building full
expensive
blown
life
products.
as well. You know.